Now if you're planting a lot of garlic, it's real easy to get lazy and think I'll just throw it down in there like that. But I can tell you from personal experience. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having an awesome day. It is Thursday, November 7th here in South Georgia, and on today's video we're going to talk about something that you can plant once and practically have forever. So in case you haven't figured it out yet, we're talking about garlic, and here we have 3 different types or varieties that we're going to be planting today. Now, aside from all the nutritional benefits of garlic and the many different culinary applications where you can use garlic, there are lots of good reasons to be growing garlic in your backyard, and I'll mention 4 here today. So number 1, garlic is really easy to plant. As I'll show you here in a minute, all you've got to do is take this little clove, shove it down into the soil, and pull some soil around it. Way easier than direct seeding something in your garden. Doesn't get much easier than planting garlic. Number 2, garlic is relatively easy to grow. Once this stuff sprouts, all you got to do is water it, feed it, and keep the weeds manageable. So it doesn't take a whole lot of gardening expertise to grow your own garlic. If you water and feed it really well, you'll end up growing some nice big heads of garlic. If you don't water and feed it as well as you should, you'll still make some heads of garlic, just maybe not as big as you could have gotten. Number 3, garlic stores really well. These cloves right here are from our harvest earlier this year, back in May. They've just been hanging out underneath the barn on our drying rack, and we could still eat these right now. They're still perfectly fine. We could peel these up and use them any way we wanted to. And number 4, garlic is one of those things that you purchase once and you basically have it forever. As long as you keep growing it every year, you have a continual seed stock. So every year in May when we harvest our garlic, we'll use some of that garlic in the kitchen throughout the year, but also save some back for seed, so we don't ever have to purchase this particular garlic seed here. We've always got it on hand in November when we want to plant it. Now there are lots of different garlic varieties out there and several different types, so let's go over this before we plant. This is very important because depending on your climate, you might not be able to grow some of these types of garlic. So there are 3 different types of garlic, not varieties, but types of garlic. You've got hardneck, softneck, and then elephant garlic. Although elephant garlic is truly a leek, it looks like garlic, grows like garlic, smells like garlic, so we include it as one of the 3 types. And so when we're talking about the 3 different types of garlic, the hardneck, softneck, and the elephant, I like to think of this like a continuum when we're comparing features like flavor, storage, and where it can actually be grown. So if we first look at the flavor continuum, down here at the bottom we're going to have the elephant garlic. It's the least pungent, the least flavorful of the 3. Then somewhere in the middle you've got softneck, and then the most flavorful would be the hardneck garlic. Then if we talk about the ease of growing, that continuum kind of flips a little bit in my opinion. So the elephant garlic here would be at the top. It's the easiest to grow in my opinion, especially if you live in the deep south. Then we have the softneck garlic somewhere in the middle there, and the hardneck garlic at the bottom. That is the hardest for us to grow down here. And the main reason for that is that it just doesn't get cold enough down here in the winter. So hardneck garlic needs some really cold weather for it to stratify or make individual cloves. If it doesn't get cold enough, what ends up happening is you just get what they call a pearl, just one big bulb of garlic there, not the individual cloves that we want. Now there are ways around that if it simply doesn't get cold enough where you live. You can put the garlic in the fridge for a month or 2 before planting and basically trick it into thinking it went through some cold weather. But even with that whole fridge prep process, I have had variable success with hardneck garlic down here in the deep south, and that's one reason I'm not growing any hardneck garlic this year. I'm going to stick with the softneck garlic and the elephant garlic types I know I can count on. Now for the softneck garlic, which is kind of in the middle of that ease of growth continuum that I talked about earlier, you don't necessarily have to put it in the fridge, but it's a good idea if you can think about it and plan ahead and do it. This particular variety I have in this box here, this Island Star variety, this will be my 3rd or 4th year growing this variety. The first year I grew it when I purchased the cloves for this variety online, I did put it in the fridge before planting. Last year I didn't put it in the fridge. It's still stratified for me, still grew great. So didn't put it in the fridge again this year, and I think we'll be just fine. Now this softneck variety right here, this Enchilium Red that Wood Prairie Farms sent us, I have had this in the fridge for at least a month. Now I don't know if there's any acclimation at play with all this. If you grow a softneck variety year over year in a southern climate, if you eventually kind of work yourself away from the need to put it in the fridge before planting. But it would seem with this Island Star that I don't need to put it in the fridge before planting. Since I've never grown this variety, and since I was purchasing it from a northern grower, or since it came from a northern grower, I did put it in the fridge just to be safe. But if you're in the middle of the country or the northern part of the country, probably not going to matter. It's going to get plenty cold enough where you live. You won't ever have to worry about this stuff. I just feel like I need to mention it for those of you that live in a southern climate like we do, so you don't think you can just go out there and grow any and all types of garlic in your backyard garden. There are some tricks to it if your winters don't get that cold. And that's why I say the elephant garlic is the easiest to grow, because it doesn't need those real cold winters to stratify. I think last year I grew out 5 or 6 rows of elephant garlic 30-foot long, and I may have harvested, I don't know, 5 to 10 pearls out of all those plants there. So it almost always stratifies for us and gives us some nice big cloves. And then one more thing to differentiate between these types, the hardneck, softneck, and elephant garlic, would be the storage potential. So if we go back to our continuum model, the elephant garlic, in my opinion, has the highest storage potential. Softneck garlic somewhere in the middle there. And from what I experienced, the hardneck garlic has the lowest storage potential of all three. Now I guess I could maybe vary a little bit depending on where you live and your storage methods, but for my really basic storage methods, just putting them underneath a pole barn on a drying rack, that's what I've found. So if we kind of recap all that information together, the elephant garlic is the easiest to grow and has the greatest storage potential, but it's the lowest on the pungency or flavor scale. Then you have the hardneck garlic, which is going to be the most pungent, the most flavorful, but it doesn't grow as well in some climates, and it also has the lowest storage potential. Then you have the softneck garlic, which just kind of hangs out in the middle of all three of those scales. So now let's do some planting, and I'm going to scale back my garlic planting a little bit this year and just do 2 double rows. I've already got everything set up right here. We've got 2 lines of drip tape. We use our FAD system, made a furrow, amended that furrow with some Coop Grow fertilizer, and then added our drip tape. Then I covered the drip tape with the wheel hoe, making 2 little mini furrows on each side of the tape. I then took a hand hoe and kind of trenched out those mini furrows a little more, just to get them a little more deeper and pronounced. So once all this garlic here sprouts and starts growing, it will actually look like just one big 4-foot wide bed of garlic, which I found is a great way to save space. No need to put a bunch of space between my double rows of garlic. I can have it just kind of one big 4-foot wide bed, easily weed it and feed it from both sides. And so in doing that, I still leave myself plenty of room here to plant my onions in the next couple weeks. Got a little bit of weeding to do out there. Had a bunch of rain last night, and man, they started popping up this morning. Now, unless you live in the far northern part of the country, most everybody is going to want to plant their garlic in the fall. Down here in the deep south, we usually like to wait until November. I could probably plant it in October, but I usually just wait until November. A lot of folks in the middle of the country might have already planted their garlic. Now this next tip I'm going to share is one that I didn't think I needed to clarify until I had someone ask me this the other day. So no, you don't have to peel these garlic cloves before you plant them. You only need to peel it if you're going to eat it. So when we plant these, we'll plant them with that outer covering on them. No need to peel these before planting. And when you're planting your garlic cloves, you want to make sure you plant this pointed end up. So that's where the roots will come from. This is where the vegetative shoot will come from. We want this pointy part sticking up. Now if you're planting a lot of garlic, it's real easy to get lazy and think I'll just throw it down in there like that, but I can tell you from personal experience, it doesn't come up near as well if it's upside down or on its side. It does much better if you stick it down in there with that pointed end up. Now what I will do a lot of times, if my soil is soft enough where I can just seat my garlic down in there like that, and I know it's not gonna move or flip if I come behind here with a rake, I won't cover it as I plant. I'll go along the row here and just poke all these down into the soil, come back with a rake and cover them all at one time. Now you'll see a lot of stuff out there online about the perfect spacing for garlic cloves. I personally think it has a lot to do with how much water you've got, how much you're going to feed them, and then what type of garlic you're growing. So you can see there, that elephant garlic clove is a good bit larger than that island star soft neck garlic clove. So that tells me I could plant these a lot closer together than I could this elephant garlic here. So the elephant garlic, I usually like to plant that about 8 inches apart. This island star soft neck, I have really crowded this stuff in a raised bed before and it's done just fine. So you could probably plant this stuff 5 to 6 inches apart. But the closer you plant it, the more water you're going to have to give it. We've got drip tape here with a 6-inch emitter spacing that's going to put out plenty of water. The closer you plant it, the more you're going to have to feed it as well, because you've got a higher nutrient demand there in a smaller space. So just something to consider when you're spacing out your garlic cloves. Now one more thing I forgot to mention earlier, if you buy garlic online like this we got here from Wood Prairie, it's probably not going to come busted up into individual cloves. They usually sell it by the head or by weight. So you don't want to plant this whole head of garlic right here. You just want to break apart those individual cloves. This is what you want to plant. Remember, pointed side up. So I'm going to get busy here planting both these double rows, probably do elephant garlic in the first double row, and then we'll split the second double row, half island star and half in Chilean red. And so that's what it looks like when we've got cloves poked down in all 4 of those furrows. So now we'll just take our rake and gently cover these garlic cloves, trying not to alter their orientation in the soil there. And now that we've got it all covered, we should probably talk about mulching, because mulching can be very beneficial when you're growing garlic. So if you live in a cooler climate, mulching is going to help insulate that soil, help it from getting too cold, protecting your garlic throughout the winter. If you live in a warmer climate, what mulching can do, besides, reducing weed pressure, is it can extend your growing season in the spring. So as things start to warm up in the spring, that's when that garlic is going to want to bolt or go to seed and stop growing. If you put mulch over the soil, it's going to keep the soil cooler, and a lot of times you can get an extra, say, 2 to 3 weeks of growth from your garlic by doing that. Now, I have mulched garlic with pine straw in the past and it works very well, but I'm not mulching my garlic anymore for this simple reason. I hate removing the mulch once the garlic grow out is done. So next May, when the garlic and onions in this plot are done, I'll probably end up planting a warm season cover crop there. To do that, I'd then have to rake out that straw or whatever mulch I was using so I could plant. So to avoid having to do that, I don't use mulch on garlic anymore. It does work very well though if you've got mulch on hand, and it's not going to impede any of your further plantings going forward. And then as the garlic grows, like I mentioned earlier, just water, feed, and weed it. Try to keep the weeds at a minimum. Garlic is usually pretty easy to weed because the plants don't spread out a whole lot. They're pretty upright. As far as feeding goes, yes, we put down the coop grow at planting. Once they start sprouting, I'll probably give it one more round of coop grow or maybe some AgriThrive, something relatively balanced, and then I'll just start hitting it with nitrogen, probably that Nature Say 1300, say once a month maybe, just feeding it straight nitrogen all the way until May when it's done growing. And you want to make sure you give it plenty of water. That's why we have the drip tape there. Even during the winter months, we have to water garlic quite a bit to keep it nice and happy. And so if you haven't planted garlic yet, now is the time. Hopefully today's video encouraged you to do so. This time of year though, it can be tough finding garlic seed stock online. A lot of the suppliers are out usually at this point in the year. I do have quite a bit of elephant garlic cloves left that I'm not going to plant, so we'll have these on our website at lazydogfarm.com if you want to grab some of these that you can plant. Got some pretty nice sized cloves here. And then Wood Prairie Farm, where we usually get our seed potatoes from, had some garlic earlier this year. Last I checked, they were down to only one variety. I don't think they have this variety left in stock, but you can go check on their website, see what they have left, and if you find something you want, you can always use the code LazyDogFarm to get a discount. So let me know in the comments below what types or varieties of garlic you're growing this year, and if you want to see what it looks like come harvest time, watch this video right here. We'll show you the differences between the elephant garlic and the soft neck garlic and the hard neck garlic and the signs as far as when to harvest. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.